Good morning, everybody. So I'm not actually Mance, so I apologize. Mance is Hedera Hashgraph CEO. My name is Nigel Clark. I lead Hedera's partners and industry go-to-market. And Hedera is a really interesting organization. It's one that a lot of people are talking a lot about at the moment. We focus around building the future together, building the trust layer of the internet. You know, on the 16th of September of this year, Hedera Hashgraph launched to the world. After several years of development, several promises, our global council, consisting of some of the most impressive, some of the largest companies in the world, our global council, I'll talk more about this, actually gave us permission to launch the network to the world. So from the 16th of September, anybody in the world, is able to sign on to Hedera and start to build distributed applications. You're able to extend your enterprise systems, your HCM systems, your EAM systems into a distributed world and build a trusted, secure future for us all. And that's really, really important. Build a trusted, secure future for us all. If you were to launch the internet today, we've spoken a lot about the breakdown in trust. If you were to launch the internet today, you would build a trust layer for the internet. You will build a layer that allows you as an enterprise or you as an individual to know exactly who you're doing business with. You will build a layer that allows you to extend your HCM, your HR systems, and cut out the cost of knowing who you're going to hire, being able to verify somebody. You would build a layer that allows you to pay in seconds, settle in seconds when you contribute, be able to receive money in seconds when you contribute news that is published elsewhere. You will build a layer on Hedera Hashgraph to do that. You will build a layer on Hedera Hashgraph that allows a regulator to be able to prove that if you've got a large asset, when that asset was serviced, and that you cannot deny when that was serviced, by who it was serviced, etc. You would build on Hedera to do that. Lots and lots of organizations today are building on Hedera and doing some really, really exciting things. Real-time payments, asset provenance, all sorts of things like that. It's very exciting. So anyone in the world can build on Hedera today. When we founded Hedera, our founders really thought about how you're going to build this secure, trusted future for us all. We thought about how you can really, if you want a secure, trusted future, then it's got to be really high performance. And I will talk about that. It's got to have best-in-class security. By best-in-class security, I mean asynchronous Byzantine fault tolerance, proven through cock proofs. That is really important. It's got to have real stability so that this system is not going to fork. If enterprises are really going to adopt DLT, distributed ledger, at scale, I use the term very deliberately. I don't use the term blockchain. We are not a blockchain. I will talk about that. If they're going to adopt this technology at scale, then it must be stable. It must not fork. They've got to be able to build trust. If you can extend your enterprise systems, and that is what's going to happen, extend your enterprise systems, your HCM systems, your finance systems, out into a distributed world to build secure business systems, this thing must be secure, it must perform at lightning speed, and it must be stable. But fundamentally, it must also be governed. So I started out by saying that on the 16th of September, Hedera's governing council enabled us to launch the network to the world. I use those terms very, very deliberately because, in fact, whilst Hedera is a technology company, actually, I work for the governing council. I will always work for our governing council. And, yeah, and we were gratified when Liba, having met them over a year ago, launched the network. Launched their governing council because it kind of validated what we're doing. A lot of the market never really understood why we were launching a network with a governing council, but a governing council provides trust, it provides stability, and that is really important. This network must not fork, it must be stable, and it must be governed. And actually, Hedera's vision, and what we're executing on really, really well right now, is to form this governing council, ultimately, with up to 39 leading organizations. Here it says across the 18 industries, across all continents. That governing council will not be centralized. That governing council, the members can only serve 6 years. That's 2 3-year terms before they have to leave the governing council, and they will be replaced by another governing council member, hopefully from the same industry. So right now, we have some fantastic organizations on our governing council driving the direction of the network. So we have DLA Piper, one of the world's biggest law firms, thinking about what the legal structure of some of these new business models are going to be. We have IBM. It's really interesting. IBM has joined Hedera's governing council. IBM, one of the leaders in the Hyperledger technology, has joined Hedera. They've joined Hedera to extend Hyperledger using our consensus service. So you can start to build real, secure business networks, so you can build the trust of a private network across a public network. So you can start to extend Hyperledger with real ordering, global timestamps. That is a really interesting move. We've got some of the biggest retail organizations. There's a fantastic governing council already, and it's growing and growing and growing. And the governing council does all sorts of things. It really does govern the network, and that's why you should be really interested in what we're doing here, because it drives trust. It's not Hedera, we're not a technology company. It's DLA Piper, it's IBM, it's Magazine Luiza, it's Deutsche Telekom, it's Swisscom, it's Tata Communications. These organizations are telling us what they want us to do, which direction the technology must go, how we should govern this, when we're able to release something, what our membership committee must look like, what the legal framework would look like, what our dialogue with the SEC should be. They run this network, they work for you, and I work for them. So the governing council is really important. And really we think about Hedera as the third generation of public distributed ledger. First generation Bitcoin blockchain, second generation Ethereum, third generation Hedera Hashgraph. And today, across the network, we're at the beta stage of open access. We've launched it to the world. Actually, the algorithm runs very, very fast. At the moment, we've ratcheted the algorithm down at 10,000 transactions per second. So that's not 7 transactions, that's not 12 transactions, that's 10,000 transactions a second. Go on, test it, do what you like. Most importantly, it's not just the speed of the network that matters. What's really interesting is you get finality in 3 to 5 seconds of a transaction. So thousands of transactions per second with finality. You can't reverse it. There's no block that can be reversed. And together with that, at an economic model that makes sense to the world. So thousandths of a cent per transaction. So it's incredibly fast. It's incredibly secure. It is stable. It is governed. It is built to be the trust layer of the internet, the trust layer for you to build secure, trusted future for us all. And I said before that Hedera Hashgraph is not a blockchain. We're a directed acyclical graph. We are the next generation, if you like, in this world. There are some, our founder, or one of our two founders, Dr. Lehman Baird, is a very, very respected scientist in this space. And he thought about this for a long while. So Hedera has some incredible technology that makes this thing go really, really fast. First of all, we're not proof of work, we are proof of stake. We're proof of stake with virtual voting, we're proof of stake with virtual voting, and gossip about gossip. Gossip is a very, very well-known protocol across the internet. So, and it's ABFT. So, and we don't require lots of heavy electricity usage. The nodes are running around the world now. It's completely decentralized. It's running very, very fast indeed. So you need to think of us as the next evolution of the whole distributed ledger world. So on top of the algorithm, we have launched 3 services, and there's now a white paper together with IBM on a fourth really exciting service. So absolutely, on top of the algorithm, we have a cryptocurrency service. Absolutely, we have a smart contract service. Absolutely, we have a file service. Really interestingly, we also have something called the Hedera consensus service. That becomes really interesting. Being able to, using the Hedera consensus service, for the first time, anyone in the world, whether you're on a private ledger or on a public ledger, can call out to Hedera for fair ordering and fair timestamping of transactions. Anyone, anywhere in the world. So if you're a Hyperledger, you can use Hedera for fair ordering and fair timestamping of transactions in the world. Now, if you think about where that makes sense across financial markets. You don't want to rely on somebody else. You want to have a completely fair ordering system in order to be able to know when a financial transaction's happened, when you've exchanged tokens between organizations. When across the supply chain, when transfer of custodies happen between goods across the supply chain, that becomes really interesting. So with Hedera, Hedera consensus service, doing this fair timestamping, fair ordering goes right to the heart of the Hedera algorithm. And it's something that there are white papers available. Any one of you can come on and start building on it, and organizations are starting to do that exactly today. And that's where a lot of our collaboration with the Hyperledger community, especially with IBM at the moment, is happening, and will happen with many of the other private ledgers as well. And what this allows us to do is build a network of networks. So you can start to build supply chains with existing private distributed ledgers and start to transact and have fair ordering between different networks around the world. That is very exciting. That'll get actually fully released to the world in the next few months, and will make a real sea change in what's happening in this world. So Hedera is already being used by large enterprises to extend large enterprise systems around the world. But we're not just about large enterprise. As I said, we're launching this trust layer for the world, not just for the enterprise, but also for fantastic distributed applications, real innovative companies start to build new exciting things. We've got companies at the moment who are doing some super stuff around medical records. We've got companies, and some actually billion-dollar companies who are doing this. We've got companies changing the way in which the whole advertising world works. We've got companies changing the way identity works. We've got companies changing the way in which you can trade energy. Some really exciting companies already building on Hedera, hundreds of them, and it's starting to get very exciting. So very finally, this has been our roadmap to date and our delivery to date, and we're right here down in the, so that we're not a new company. We raised a lot of money a couple of years ago. We're right down in the bottom corner here. We're at Open Review version 1.0, and we will go full open access. It's open access to the world now, but we'll actually go full open review in early in the new year, hopefully. So thank you very much for your time. This is about building the trust layer of the internet.
Thank you so much, dear Nigel. If anyone has any questions for you.
Yeah, if you have any questions, rather than take time, I'll be out here and I'll take them.
We have time if you like, though.
Oh, we do? Oh,
yeah.
Great. Anyone got any questions for Hedera?
Have 2 or 3 minutes, anyone? Yes, please.
You've done some research on Hedera?
Research before I ask the question, probably. But in your applications, are you maintaining your data off-chain and tagging it with a hash, or is it resident in the token?
Yeah. So we do not retain data on the ledger. There's no data at rest on the ledger. It's held in mirror nodes. In mirror nodes around the ledger. That's important, actually, because you think about that as you start to go around the world for data custody. You cannot maintain all the data on the ledger. The ledger of a global network will drop and drop and drop.
In the token itself, there's some research being done where they're maintaining the data for that transaction within the token itself, and that's the basis for my question.
Okay, I'm probably not the best person to answer that. I'll get you my details, and I'll send you to Lehman, and Lehman will give you an in-depth answer to exactly how that happens. But we don't fundamentally we don't maintain the data on the network. It's never at rest. It's the mirror nodes.
Yes, please.
I would just want you to tell me a small hint, if you could tell me about the difference between the algorithmic progress between the blockchain ledger and the hazard ledger.
Okay, that's probably a long answer, but the Hedera Hashgraph algorithm is a consensus algorithm founded by Lehman Baird. It is an acyclical graph. It is not a blockchain. So it uses gossip about gossip and virtual voting in order to, so the nodes know about each other, each one of the nodes know about each other, know about the information, and then just spread it across the graph. The interesting thing about it is I spoke about a fair timestamp and a fair order. So actually in the algorithm, it takes the median timestamp at which all the nodes know about a transaction, a median timestamp. That's when I talk about fairness. So in the algorithm, the fairness is the median timestamp. So you cannot influence. Unlike blockchain, it's like, okay, whoever's got the best compute power has got the right to put the new block on. In Hedera, there's nothing like that. It is the median timestamp of the network. So if someone tries to run something even faster, it gets thrown out. It doesn't matter. It can't influence the order in which events happen because it's the median timestamp that the nodes know. All the nodes know about the transaction happening. But again, if Nigel Clark at Hedera.com, I'll get you. There's a fantastic white paper that talks about all the in-depths of the algorithm, gossip about gossip and virtual voting, and the Hashgraph.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nigel. A
Okay.
warm applause for Nigel.